Hi, you're listening to Cloistered Allie from David Hallam's Stated Stranded. I hope you enjoy. Kenosha's company was soft compared to the hard reality that ravished outside the hull of the ship. Still only able to comprehend the ideas and thoughts, and with that is a warm stabbing pain on either side of my head. It feels like my ears are ringing, but I don't hear that god-awful tone droning in my head. Only the discomfort that comes with the nagging noise. Maybe it's not... I don't know anymore. I looked up and took a glance out the window. The giant snake that came from the portal was grabbing the offending Fortis ships and totally demolishing them in the hands that came from its mouth, like a large man crushing mice in its fingertips. As the snake destroyed everything it touched and was accosted by, the Melazina ship was still encircled around the planet. But there wasn't a planet there anymore. Instead, there was a glowing light of multiple different colors within the ship. I brought my attention back to the room I was in. Kenosha was talking to Saba in the doorway. She looked at me with a sad look on her face, but it didn't compare to Saba's scared expression. She gently held his hand and walked out of view. I closed my eyes, and all I could see was Rain. No emotion on his face, not happy or sad, just a figment of my imagination. I'm sorry, Rain. We failed. I'm so sorry I encouraged this. It's my fault you're gone. I found tears falling off my face, like those old springtime showers that I've only heard about, and my fists clamped tight around my despairing heart. I'm sorry it wasn't me, Rain. I know that if he were here, he would hold me and talk to me. He wouldn't say a lot, but he would say the right things. But he's gone, and the hole in my heart is bigger than the space he took up in there. I'm not going to meet anyone else like him. I shook my head at the thought. No one will ever compare. I'll be disappointed with whoever tries to take his place. I knew I had to get up and do something regardless of what I was feeling. This is my crew, after all. I stood up from the bed. The panels of my armor rubbed against each other, creaking against the silence in total apathy. I sighed, but it became a growl. I stepped out of the door in my room, the handle of my lance on my hip bouncing with every step I took. My heart pounded in my chest, and it echoes within my ribcage out of sync with my footsteps. My face looked down, but my eyes looked forward, my hair still put back to be out of my face. I walked onto the bridge of the shard ship that we were on and looked over everyone there. They all turned to look at me, mostly other aliens mixed with a subtle amount of humans. One of my crew asked if I was alright. I didn't respond. Outside, through the front window, you could see everything. The snake with its large mouth plucking spade and club-shaped ships out of their flights and rendering them useless in less than seconds. The Melazina ship surrounding the bright, colorful light, all so blinding as the light reflected off the golden spacecraft. The energy of the bridge lowered a fraction. I noticed something within the Melazina ship. There was a small planet being grown in the middle of the space the ship was protecting. The growing planet replaced the colorful lights that were within the ship before. Someone asked me if we were going to do something about it. He spoke with trepidation gripping his voice. My eyes were fixed on the Melazina ship, and the planet growing within its protection. I shook my head. I'm sorry, Rain, but there's nothing left to do here. A woman's voice asked to what we were going to do now. Now? I closed my eyes, and all I saw over and over again was his shape, disappearing into the void. As soon as I got him back, he was gone again. I opened my eyes. I could feel the phantom touch that I longed for from him. I wanted him to put his arm around me, but I'm deprived of that luxury. I looked into the front panoramic window and looked to my far left. The Brechton cube ship glistened and reflected the lights from the two suns in a blinding specter. I gestured my head towards the Brechton mothership and received acknowledgement to my silent order. Rain was so much better at giving orders. We smoothly glided to one of the docking bays of the mothership. Thinking back on everything, everything from the beginning, or what I would think is the beginning. Did our world leaders know about the world ending at the same time everyone else did? Underwater mining accident, one stupid drill causes the end of the world. I don't know how possible that is. Hell, it may not even be remotely possible for that to happen. The stone of the earth is only so hard, so anything that makes mining equipment stronger would eventually become redundant. Who knows how long ago it was redundant, or could have been redundant. I sighed, and the last half of my sigh became a growl. Before me today, I saw a planet destroyed, and another one created to take its place. With my own eyes, I saw it indubious that saving the world was something that was within the grasp of whoever has the resources to do so. I've only heard stories about how resourceful and powerful the Oddporny are, and how our world leaders were connected to the operation of the Oddporny. We docked onto the Brecton mothership, and I ordered for Rain and I's ship to be brought to me so that I can lead my fleet with it. With all those resources that the Oddporny are able to use, they didn't do a thing. I recreating a planet out of their caliber? Maybe, but to at least save the world? Inexcusable. Maybe if the world leaders worked with the Oddporny to save the world instead of leaving it, my dad would still be alive. There was a burning that stung at my heart and snapped with each beat that my heart beat. First, my dad, before the world ended, he died in flames. The year and a half that he was absent was an eternity in itself. The lethargy that I found myself in seemed to always exist, had no beginning, and has no end. The thick, painful sludge of his absence was a hand that clutched my spine and held me in a position where I couldn't stand up straight or sit down to rest my legs. And then the world ended. My ship came, and myself, the children, and whoever else was on the Brecton mothership boarded the ship with. We all walked through the hall that took us to our rooms, and at the end of the hall, there was a staircase that took you to the bridge of the ship. I walked halfway down the hall and turned into my room. My room with 2 beds. One will now stay empty forever, and the other is Rain's. Maybe, if I sleep in his bed, I'll dream about him. A long shot, but this pissed hope in my heart longs for him. First my dad, second the world, third, me. In that fight against Rain's mother, they owned her, and so much more like her. On that day I killed a monster that I thought was more monstrous than I was, but overcame one monster just to create another one. I'm not scared of anything anymore, but I know of this about myself, that if I'm not careful, could strike fear into my own heart. I'm dauntless to the vengeful kind. This determination shot me through the roof, hitting the floor below. It can take me to hell, and I'll kill the devil himself with the hands that killed his favorite daughter. Yes, Rain was one hell of a man, and worth fighting for a post-mortem. I took off all the armor that I wore today, filled with dust, ash, blood of all kinds, and has a hole going straight through the chest section of the paneling. I set the armor on the ground, and I was standing in our room wearing only the leggings and the bra that went under the armor. The floor was stone cold under my feet. At least the rest of my body was growing accustomed to how my heart felt and the emotions swirling around through my mind. I could vaguely see my reflection in the glass of the window that overtook that wall, but I could see the pale of my stomach, a little more chubby than flat-abbed. He always liked my little Billy Chub. I would have smiled, but that talent died with my fiancée. There was a closet on one side of the room, and I walked over to it. First, my dad. He and I went to an abandoned shopping mall a few months after the world was condemned to perish. Parts of the mall had been caved in, revealing lower levels that weren't initially accessible to the public. There was a weapons and armor black market underneath, as we looted. That's when I got my claymore and armored trench coat. Rain and I would frequently go back there after Dad was killed. One of these times, I found an extravagant set of armor. Rain saw this armor, and we both agreed that this armor was for skirmishes or battles where I deserved to look more threatening. Such an eternity ago, and now I stand in front of the full set of armor. The more I look at it, the more I think it went with the claymore that I have picked up before. At base, it was simply a burgundy jacket that had gold-leafed embroidery designed to have the appearance of golden wings like an eagle. These embroidered wings would start in the middle of the top of my back and wrap around to the middle of my front. The jacket itself is a little small on me, but it isn't uncomfortable. And at least the armor was made to fit the wearer when activated anyways. The dress part of the armor at base is plated and goes down to below my knees. It's black and had gold embroidery like rose petals going down the skirt. I sighed as I dressed down the rest of the way to put on the jacket and skirt. I looked over at my reflection in the glass. So many wounds, but not a single scar, on the outside at least. I put on everything, undergarments and all. Then I walked over to where I put the handle of the claymore and picked it up. First, my dad. Second, the world. Third, me. With the thought, I summoned the armor. The top part of the armor was dominantly a dark ruby burgundy with gold or brass colored accents. The armor itself had more bulk to it than the other armors that I had worn before, but the mobility and agility that I have wouldn't be hindered. The armor had a V-neck and was fringed with a gold square pattern. The shoulder pads extended a few inches up and out and had spiked scales coming off of them. My arms were armored as well, with small panels that were the width and length of two of my fingers. From the V-neck fringe down to my waist were brass-tipped scales shaped like pointed rose petals. On my back, in the space between my shoulder blades, were rows of brass chains, and from the chains extending to the design were brass eagle wings that reached from my shoulder blades to the front side edges of my stomach. The belt of the armor was made of burgundy-colored rose petals with brass fringes. The dress of my armor went down to above my ankles, and it was made up of spade-shaped armor scales, and the hem of the dress was frayed with the mobility in mind. I summoned my claymore and looked over myself. I was satisfied with everything I was looking at, but I wasn't able to crack a smile. Archangel. That's what they called the set. It's written all over the inside of the armor. I dismissed my claymore and turned to leave my room. First, my dad. Second, the world. Third, me. Fourth, Rain. Besides my dad, Rain means the most to me. If they had only saved the world and not let it end, we would be happily married today. I turned the corner to go upstairs into the bridge. The armor was light-footed compared to my heavy heart. With another thought, a thin, white silk cape as wide as half of my back fell over one shoulder going down to the back of my knee. The thought of vengeance pricked at my brain. Painful, but the kind of pain you know you'll get when you pop a bone back into place. And I could hear my cape flapping at the pace that I was keeping. I gritted my teeth. Rain was so much better at preparing to give orders, but this absence is why I have to go give the orders now. I reached the bridge and everyone turned to face me. Looks and expressions of awe swept through my crew. Someone asked what was our next course of action. I was silent, still in mourning and anger of everything that had happened. I instructed my crew to do as much research as they can about Oddporny territories, and to start going through one of their proxy systems. I never wanted to live on any world where Rain and I weren't together, and soon we will see why.
Hi, this is David Halem, and you just finished listening to Cloistered, Allie from my story Status Stranded. I hope you enjoyed. See you next week.